Good morning, Southeast. What's going on, y'all? Another episode of Real Talk with Pastor Wiley. Got a question for you. How intentional are you when it comes to growing in your faith? There's a story of a guy, a rich guy, but a rich evil guy, who was on his deathbed and he wanted to leave all his wealth and all his estate to the devil, right? So he writes it in his will, and then he passes away shortly after. So the family gets the will, and they see that in his will he wants to leave his stuff to the devil, but they're like, how do we leave his stuff to the devil? That's weird, right? So they hire an attorney to try to help figure this thing out, and the attorney's like, I don't know how we're going to leave his riches and his wealth and all his property to the devil. I don't know. So they took it to court. They gave the will to the judge, and after some days of deliberation, the judge finally figured out how to give this man's stuff to the devil. And he discovered that the best way to give this man's stuff to the devil is by doing absolutely nothing with it. We just let it sit, and as his stuff sits, then it'll collect dust and rot, and the wood will go bad, and rust will grow everywhere. Weeds will start to grow up in the grass, cobwebs everywhere. Like, if we do nothing with it, then it'll start to just really go to waste and be destroyed. The question is, how intentional are you with God in growing in your faith? Because if you're unintentional with it and you're not doing anything with it, then you leave room for the devil to come in and to really start to plant seeds of doubt and to cause you to not believe, to cause you to doubt who God is, cause you to doubt your faith, start to plant confusion in you, start to doubt whether you even are saved or not, right? All these different things start to set in. But when you're intentional with your faith, good things will happen. You stay connected to God. Your faith continues to be strong. You'll continue to understand who you are in light of who He is. So you have to be intentional about growing in your faith. It's not going to grow just overnight with no work and no effort put in. So you have to be intentional about reading your word. You have to be intentional about praying. And you can pray throughout the day, right? You have to be intentional about, about going to Bible studies or going to church and different things like that, going to youth group or whatever it is. But you have to live your life with intention. You have to live your faith with intention. If there's no intention behind it and you find yourself doing nothing, then you leave room for stuff that God doesn't have for you to grow, right? Bad habits, a bad way of thinking, right? Doubt, becoming faithless, different things like that. So my encouragement to you today is to be intentional about your faith. What are some things that you can do in this new year to be intentional about growing in your faith?